There are two options by which you can present a question tonight. So for those of you that have joined us via our Zoom meeting link, you can simply enter your questions into the chat box. And for those of you who are viewing on our YouTube channel, you can enter your questions into the YouTube chat. Dr. Britton and I can both visibly see the Zoom questions on our screens, and we will be fed from our gurus behind the glass those questions that are entered on YouTube. We can't hear that.
Yeah, the YouTube link isn't working, so all the YouTube people have been pushed over to Zoom.
Okay, great.
YouTube is back up and running.
Oh, great.
Okay, perfect. Glad to announce, if you didn't hear that, that our YouTube is back up and running. After tonight, or if yours is a question that, given what will be time constraints, and I'm sure in the face of a lot of questions, if we don't get to your question or you didn't have the opportunity to ask one tonight, or you come up with a question after tonight's meeting, please feel free to email me. As Dr. Britton said, in addition to serving as Director of Curriculum Instruction and Technology, I'm also serving as the Portland Virtual Learning Academy Principal, and I will respond in as prompt a manner as possible to any questions emailed to me. Thank you. Next slide, please. So let's start with our goals and commitments, and these really define our aims for the Portland Virtual Learning Academy. First and foremost is to uphold the vision, mission, and core beliefs of Portland Public Schools. As Dr. Britton described, the PVLA as a sixth school, but under the umbrella of Portland Public Schools. So what remains good and true for our 5 schools remains also good and true for our 6th school, the Portland Virtual Learning Academy. Along those same lines, we will work diligently and endlessly to continue to equitably provide every Portland Virtual Learning Academy student a high quality, rigorous Portland Public Schools education. So by no means, families or students, should you feel that your participation as a Portland Virtual Learning Academy student is going to deprive you of any of those benefits, privileges, rights of a full Portland Public Schools student, and everything you would be entitled to were you to attend our schools in person. We are going to maintain high levels of student support for all PVLA learners, including those receiving special services. We'll talk a little bit more about that in tonight's presentation. To the greatest extent possible, we are aiming to match the Portland Virtual Learning Academy students' experiences to those of their in-person classmates. Again, I spoke to that idea of our Portland Virtual Learning Academy students are full-fledged Portland students, and we want to make their experience as closely as possible mirror that of their in-person peers. We will work with every Portland Virtual Learning Academy family to ensure continuous student support, services, and success. Everything from technology, Wi-Fi access, counseling services, social work services, special education services. We'll make sure that those things continue as feasibly as possible, as completely as possible to maintain student achievement and success. And finally, we're going to work hard to create seamless transitions for students entering and exiting Portland Virtual Learning Academy and either returning to in-person instruction or coming to us from in-person instruction. We know that the realities of the times in which we find ourselves means that every situation is a fluid one, and that our enrollments in the Portland Virtual Learning Academy will be fluid as well. Just understand that we've created strategic pathways and processes for students to both enter and exit the Portland Virtual Learning Academy. And importantly, we've created daily schedules that mesh almost seamlessly with our building-based schedules to ensure that success and that seamless transition. Next slide, please. I'm just going to pause here. We had indicated earlier that there's the opportunity to ask questions, and we gave a couple different options to do that via the Zoom chat and the YouTube chat. We're going to present all of the information tonight and then field questions at the end. We're confident that throughout the course of the presentation, we're going to go ahead and answer a lot of those questions that might come up from slide to slide. So if you just stay with us, bear with us, and stay attentive throughout the presentation, we're confident that we'll answer most of your immediate questions. So a little bit about our Virtual Learning Academy staff and students. We are very excited to be able to offer our virtual learning families and students certified Portland public school teachers at every grade level and content area. We have not yet, and we don't anticipate having to hire external teachers to staff our virtual learning academy. We've had many teachers take on extra responsibilities and duties to ensure the staffing of our virtual learning academy by teachers with whom our students are already familiar and who we know have a track record of successfully advancing student achievement. All of our teachers that are staffing our Portland Virtual Learning Academy are certified within the content area and or grade level in which we're asking them to teach. So the State Department of Education in this time has allowed for certain flexibilities with teacher certification. In short, that means some districts are utilizing teachers to teach outside of the content areas or grade levels for which they're certified. That is not something that we have had to resort to in Portland for our Virtual Learning Academy, and we're very proud of that and very thankful to the commitment of our teachers in helping us to honor that. In most cases, the teachers staffing our particular courses and grade level have current or previous course grade level experience teaching those exact assignments. In the vast majority of cases, they are currently teaching those sections or those grade levels. In the cases where they are not currently teaching those sections or grade levels, they do have previous experience with those assignments. To further enhance the success of our teachers and to support their success, at all times we have built in for our Portland Virtual Learning Academy staff strategic and scheduled collaboration opportunities with their in-person colleagues. We want our teachers to be successful, but we also want to make sure that the academic, instructional, assessment practices that are occurring within our Virtual Learning Academy mirror and align to those for our in-person students, for our in-person classes. A quick word about our students. So we have approximately 240 pre-K through grade 12 students enrolled in our Portland Virtual Learning Academy. That's roughly 16 to 21% of any given grade level. So we're operating in a pretty consistent range there. And it's a really diverse set of students. This is not a one size fits all approach. We've had families and students of every ilk sign up for our Virtual Learning Academy, and we're confident that we'll meet the needs of all learners as we do every day that Portland Public Schools are in session. This last note here, while our students are enrolled in Portland Virtual Learning Academy, what Dr. Britton described as this sixth school, our perspective is this. The Virtual Learning Academy is ultimately a temporary school that will exist as long as it needs to exist around issues of COVID safety. And as Dr. Britton explained, vaccination or conditions when it's safe for all students to return for in-person instruction. While they are enrolled as Portland Virtual Learning Academy students, they remain full citizens and students of Valley View, Gildersleeve, Brownstone, Portland Middle School, and I apologize, Portland High School. So they are not by any means losing their place or their citizenship as full members of those buildings, even though they're enrolled temporarily as Portland Virtual Learning Academy students. Next slide, please. So I want to touch briefly on our pre-K daily schedule, which is a program that's very unique. For those of you that are unfamiliar with our pre-K daily schedule, it is a modified school day. And so it has some unique nuances that warrant for its virtual learning academy version, slight differences from our K-12 programming. So here's what we can say definitively about our pre-K daily schedule at this time. All pre-K students will attend a scheduled virtual learning school day 4 days per week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. When our entire district is in distance learning Wednesdays, pre-K will not run, and that is compatible with our normal pre-K programming, which is a 4-day schedule. The pre-K school year for both in-person and Portland Virtual Learning Academy students, and I apologize for the typo here, will begin on September 8th. And that is not a departure from normal practices. This our pre-K program in person in a normal year always starts slightly after the typical start of our school year. In terms of more pre-K specifics, we will be offering all pre-K families whose students are enrolled in Portland Virtual Learning Academy a specific Zoom meeting the week of September 1st through the 5th. That specific date and time is to be determined. We're working that out right now. It will occur on that week, and invitations to that meeting will be sent out specifically to our pre-K PVLA families. So stay tuned, check your email, more information on that to come. What I've placed here below is a sample daily schedule that will be similar to that which we finalized for our pre-K Virtual Learning Academy students. So that's why the note there is it's subject to change. We see the day running from about 8:45 until 11:15. There will be a combination of live activities such as our morning circle time, our closing circle time, our read aloud, and also posted activities with instructions. We understand that our youngest learners are not entirely independent, and so when we ask them to engage in screen-based work, we're also enlisting parents, family members, guardians, babysitters to sit next to them and do that work with them. So we have a little bit more flexibility in that schedule. And as the final bullet notes, and we'll discuss much more at the pre-K specific Zoom meeting that week of September 1st through the 5th, special education support services will be provided as part of the pre-K school day. Next slide, please. I'm just going to take a moment to make sure my phone is completely on mute. I apologize for that. This next slide is for our K-12 families and students, and this describes what schedules will look like for students enrolled in those grades. So our foremost commitment, and this is different than our spring distance learning. That's one thing, we'll talk about a lot, but this is not the same setup as in which we asked families and students to engage during our unexpected period of school closure in the spring. This is something we've been able to plan for a little bit more proactively, and as such, we're confident in asking all K-12 students to attend a scheduled virtual learning school day 5 days per week. I'll say that again, all K-12 students will attend a scheduled virtual learning school day 5 days per week. What that looks like at each level is as follows. For our K-6 students, you will have the same schedule every day of the week, Monday through Friday. The school day will begin at 8:30 a.m. It will end at 2:05 p.m. That does not mean that your child will be sitting in front of a screen for the duration of those hours. Rather, those hours encapsulate our total school day. Within that school day, students will have a 30-minute live morning meeting, 3 hours of live or what we call synchronous core instruction. Those are non-contiguous hours. So that'll be an hour followed by a break, an hour followed by a break, which may be lunch. We're not going to ask students to sit down in front of a screen at any given time for more than 60 minutes. There will be a 30-minute specials period offered to students every day, typical of the types of specials that they would receive if they were in person. So those are our art classes, our music classes, our library media classes, social emotional learning classes, PE, and health. There's a star next to that. We're looking for our youngest learners at Valley View at 20-minute specials. We're currently finalizing that schedule. So the Valley View student specials periods will likely be 20 minutes every day. That schedule is also inclusive of a 25-minute AM brain break in which no learning is scheduled. We'll be providing guidance to both families and students on how to best spend that brain break. A 60-minute lunch period, so plenty of time to both eat lunch and take an additional brain break, perhaps get some recreational movement time outside, weather permitting. And again, we'll be providing guidance to both families and students how to best utilize that 60-minute lunch period. And then once the school day is complete at 2:05, our teachers remain available for a period of time until 3:25 p.m. each day for office hours, or what we call afternoon support. This is time where teachers may be reaching out and scheduling meetings with individual families, individual students, to provide the support that they need to be successful within this schedule. That's our K-6 arrangement. Looking at the next two columns there, those describe the schedule for our middle and high school students. And the reason that there's two boxes is that we have a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday schedule. Those are when in-person classes are occurring at our middle and high school buildings, and our Wednesday schedule in which no in-person classes are occurring at any building in the district. And so we've tried to create for our Virtual Learning Academy students for Portland Middle School and Portland High School schedules that closely align to the in-person building schedules every day of the week. So on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, all Portland Virtual Learning Academy students will engage in a block schedule. Each day, 4 60-minute classes will be held. On the next day, a different set of 4 60-minute classes will be held, so that over the 4 full instructional days, each 60-minute class meets twice. That may have sounded a little convoluted, so let me clear that up. 4 classes will meet on Monday. Those 4 classes will next meet for 60 minutes on Thursday. The second 4 classes in our 8-period schedule will meet on Tuesday for 60 minutes. The next 60-minute period for those classes will occur on Friday. In between each class, there is a 30-minute morning brain break. That's also a time where our teachers may schedule individual student support. There's a 60-minute lunch period. And after the conclusion of the school day, our teachers will remain available for afternoon office hours support. On Wednesdays, our in-person buildings adopt what is known as a straight 8 schedule, meaning there are 8 academic periods within the complete middle and high school schedule, whereas only 4 of those 8 periods meet on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday on any given day. All 8 periods will meet on Wednesdays. This is true for both our Virtual Learning Academy students and our in-person students. For our Portland Middle School students, those 8 classes will be 25 minutes each. For our Portland High School students, those 8 classes will be 30 minutes each. That school day, please note, starts a little bit earlier and ends slightly later. It does include an AM break. It does include a scheduled lunch. And this is something we're really proud of. Just as our in-person learners would have an advisory or mentor group on those Wednesdays in which they're distance learning from home, our Portland Virtual Learning Academy students will also have an advisory or mentor group that meets on those Wednesdays within our Virtual Learning Academy. Next slide, please. In terms of learner expectations, we're going to do a lot to orient our students over the first couple weeks to what it means to be a virtual learner and how to be a successful virtual learner. And again, we'll draw upon best practices and student successes in the spring, but also understanding that we're asking students to engage with virtual learning, or what we formerly termed distance learning, in a way that's different from how we ask them to engage in the spring. Primarily in terms of attending a full scheduled school day. So here are some basic learner expectations that we will further unpack with students in the opening weeks of our Virtual Learning Academy. And specifically for each of these expectations, explain what it means in regards to their specific grade level. First, maintain and use only district-issued devices for virtual learning. Our tech team has and continues to do amazing work putting functional, high quality technology devices in the hands of our families and students for successful virtual learning. We ask that our students continue to use only those devices so that our technology team can remain best poised to support technology needs throughout this virtual learning experience. We ask that our students practice digital citizenship and etiquette at all times. We're going to help our students understand what it means to be a polite, respectful, appropriate virtual learner in all virtual learning settings. Attend school every day during the scheduled school day. And the next bullet, attend all classes and meetings at scheduled times. Attendance will be taken. That is a departure in some ways from the spring, in the sense that attendance counts. And where attendance expectations are not being met, they will be handled in much the same regard as if students were not attending school in person or physically when they were expected to do so. We ask that our students come to school and class each day engaged and ready to learn. We'll be helping our students to understand what that means, everything from maintaining an appropriate physical appearance to maintaining a positive attitude to advocating for themselves and coming ready in terms of having completed assignments, as the next bullet explains, and to come ready with questions or to seek help as needed. In terms of assignments, completing assignments as required by teachers, our grading practices within our Portland Virtual Learning Academy will be commensurate with the grading practices in the student's home school. So we are not, or they're the typical building that they would attend in person, to offer a little bit more clarification there. We are not developing an alternate grading policy or grading scheme for the Portland Virtual Learning Academy. So the ways in which we grade assignments and how assignments count per se is the same as if your child was attending in-person learning in their typical school building. We ask that our students regularly check their Portland Public Schools email. The star there is one for age development, or age appropriate development, developmental appropriateness. We understand that for some of our younger learners, we're asking parents and families to regularly check email for important updates regarding your child's experience. Seek help from teachers when needed. We're going to provide a lot of avenues for how our students can ask for help and advocate for themselves, and we're going to coach them on being successful askers of help and self-advocates. Follow all classroom and school rules. So classroom rules or teacher-specific rules will be established by those staff members who are specifically staffing our Portland Virtual Learning Academy classes. And that will comprise your child's daily learning schedule. In terms of school rules, we're certainly going to have some specific Portland Virtual Learning Academy rules, but by and large, the student handbooks that pertain to your child's typical in-person school building will be those handbooks to which they remain aligned to as Portland Virtual Learning Academy students. So to offer a little bit more clarity there, if you're wondering what the student handbook is for Portland Virtual Learning Academy, it is the student handbook for the school that your child would typically attend for in-person learning. Finally, and this should absolutely be our number one expectation, these are presented in no specific order, but I would put this at the very top, that our Portland Virtual Learning Academy students try their absolute best at all times. We are here to support the success and meet the needs of every learner, but we ask in return that our learners bring the best of themselves and their abilities to the table on any given school day and at every given moment. And where that is not happening, or your student or your child is finding difficult in bringing their best, please know that we remain committed to supporting and helping them to do just that. Next slide, please. Regarding our courses of study, so for grades K-6, our Portland Virtual Learning Academy courses and curriculum match our in-person curriculum. So the program of studies for Portland Virtual Learning Academy are identical to that same program of studies that our K-6 in-person students are receiving. For 7-12, Our Portland Virtual Learning Academy program of studies will be limited, especially in terms of the number of electives we are able to offer our Virtual Learning Academy students. However, we are confident that we will have a balanced program of studies that offers our students in grades 7 through 12 several elective opportunities, and we are currently exploring additional ways to give our students elective opportunities despite their not attending school in person. And we have some different options at the district level that we continue to explore. In terms of guaranteed instruction at all grade levels, every Portland Virtual Learning Academy student will receive high quality instruction in all core academic subjects. Those are English language arts, mathematics, science, social studies, and for grades 7 through 12, world language. These core academic subjects, in terms of the instruction that students receive, will present to students grade level appropriate instruction. So we are not going to ask any student to engage in instruction that is not at his or her current grade level. All students will continue to receive unified arts instruction, as well as physical education and health instruction. And again, perhaps most importantly, especially given the times, social emotional learning and well-being instruction. We take the social emotional well-being of our students incredibly serious, whether they are in person or virtual learning academy students, and we will do all we can to support that well-being through high quality instruction and responsive support services. Next slide, please. In terms of additional supports and services, we will offer all families and students enrolled in our Portland Virtual Learning Academy. We have a dedicated Portland Virtual Learning Academy administration and faculty. I'm not using the term dedicated there in terms of they are committed and spirited and passionate, which they certainly are. I mean dedicated in terms of we are not trading staff on a day-by-day basis. Teachers are not coming and going. Assignments are not changing. Those staff and administration that have been assigned to our Portland Virtual Learning Academy will remain staff for this sixth school as long as this school is functioning as necessity, and as long as we're in this Virtual Learning Academy time of need. Access to special education services will remain in place. Dawn Davis, our tremendous director of pupil services, will be working very closely with our families whose students require special education and support services to make sure that we're able to meet those needs in as complete and feasible a means as possible. Structured interventions for math and literacy, we remain committed to offering all students, even those enrolled in Portland Virtual Learning Academy. Readily available counseling and social work services. Our Virtual Learning Academy students will absolutely have access to their home building school counselors and social workers. Responsive technology support. One thing that remains true from the spring is that our technology team continues to do an amazing job supporting our needs for remote and virtual learning. We will maintain that dedicated email, which we will be advertising to our Virtual Learning Academy families in writing next week. It is techhelp@portlandct.us. That is an immediate means of you getting the tech support you need to make sure that your child has continued access to our instruction. And finally, regular family check-ins. We know that this is challenging. We're asking a lot of our families. We are confident that we can meet the needs of our families, but we want to make sure that we have regular communication, and we're maintaining regular communication with all families of students engaged in our Virtual Learning Academy in the event that there are any needs that arise that we cannot anticipate or did not anticipate at the onset. Next slide, please. In terms of timelines and contacts, and this is the last slide before we get into questions, which Dr. Britton and I are happy to answer to the best of our ability. So next week is a big week for our Virtual Learning Academy. We're finalizing master schedules, we're finalizing student lists, and assigning students to appropriate teachers within our schedules. So that will allow us next week to send out our official welcome letter information along with specific student schedules. Teachers will be reaching out to students and families with specific introductions, as close to as what you would typically receive in a given school year. And we're also organizing a technology device pickup drive for any of our families or students who don't currently have a working district provided device with which they can access and engage in virtual learning. September 1st is our scheduled first day of school for the Portland Virtual Learning Academy. It's our first day of school district-wide for all schools, including this one. We are going to tentatively schedule a follow-up parent Zoom meeting on September 10th for all Portland Virtual Learning Academy families. So more information to come on that, but we want to get a little bit of time and Virtual Learning Academy experience under our belt. We know that a new set of questions and concerns will arise, and so we've scheduled that September 10th meeting as a way of addressing things once we're underway. In the meantime, again, I'm thrilled to be serving as the Virtual Learning Academy principal. I remain exceedingly confident in the work that we're doing to make this an incredible learning experience for our families and students. I'm confident in our staffing, our course offerings. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can tonight and as many as are asked. Should you have questions beyond tonight, my email is there. Please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to answer as many questions as are emailed me to the best of my ability, and happy to support you in all ways that I can. Next slide, please. At this time, Dr. Britton and I are going to work to answer as many questions as we can that have been presented to us from our Zoom and YouTube participants. So we're going to leave this slide up, I believe, and in doing so, we're going to go ahead and start to answer questions. Dr. Britton, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, why don't you guys bring that down? We'll go back to the video here. So, all right, let's see. We've got several questions here, a couple of really good ones. First question I have is from Sarah Maluso. So, gentlemen, could you unmute Sarah? Sarah, are you with us?
I am. Sorry, I was just closing the door.
Okay, no worries. Hi, Sarah. So, Sarah, you were curious. I just want to make sure I got your question. So, will the remote learning days for the hybrid model look similar to the daily virtual schedule of the Portland Virtual Learning Academy?
So I'm happy to take that question. Thank you. I will speak to the middle school. So remember, our K-6 school day remains the same Monday through Friday, and that's also true for our in-person students. That Wednesday schedule, K-6, is the basis for how we developed our K-6 daily schedule. In short, it really became an issue of when and how we were able to get our in-person specials teachers to be able to meet with our Virtual Learning Academy students. So yes, it's close to the daily learning schedule. It's not exact. At the middle and high school, it's identical. That Wednesday learning schedule for our students in grades 7-12 is exactly identical to the Wednesday learning schedule for our in-person students in grades 7-12. The only exception, I believe, and I don't have that schedule directly up in front of me, is there's a little bit of time after lunch on Wednesdays where something is happening in person for Portland Middle School students that was just a quirk in their schedule that is not necessary for our Virtual Learning Academy students. We didn't have that same quirk. They're not losing or missing out on anything. It's just our in-person students needed to get something that they couldn't within the quirk of that live schedule that we don't need to provide our Virtual Learning Academy students on that same Wednesday. So instead, our Virtual Learning Academy students will use that time for extra office hours with teachers or an additional afternoon brain break on Wednesdays. And then after that time, they'll go into their advisory groups, which are the same as those that we'll be running for our in-person students. I hope I answered your question.
Sarah, did that cover it for you?
Yeah, my goal was basically to understand what the forum looks like for the hybrid model for those virtual learning days, and to ensure that we seem to have a great focus on this for the completely virtual students. I just wanted to make sure the same focus was happening for hybrid.
It is. I can absolutely assure you that we're making sure that the Wednesday virtual learning day is comprehensive and robust. And we're also using that to also plan, God forbid, for any potential return to full distance learning. I mean, right now, as we all know, the numbers look really good in Connecticut, but we're going to absolutely be prepared if COVID rates spike, or too many of our students or teachers are absent, or any number of other scenarios that if we had to go back to distance learning, we would be prepared to do that in a robust and effective way.
Dr. Britton, can you mute your laptop?
Yeah.
I think that's what.
I think it's coming out of that
it's
speaker.
coming, but we can hear from her. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so Sarah, are you good? Can we move on?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right, can we unmute Christopher LeMay? Christopher, are you with us?
You should be unmuting now.
It's actually Heather Vieira. Hi.
Oh, hi, Heather. It says Christopher, so.
Yep, that's my husband.
Okay. All right. So, Heather, you're curious about when you're going to get your schedules for coming back, and second part was, if you chose the distance and we all came back after a vaccination, would your kids stay with the same teacher? Is that's the question? I just want to kind of paraphrase it there.
Correct.
All right. I spoke with the principals today. They are working quickly to build essentially 3 schedules, right? We're building a hybrid schedule. We're building a virtual learning academy schedule, and we're building potentially a full schedule. I expect that those will likely go out this Friday. If we return to distance learning?
Yeah, let me jump in there. So if unfortunately the entire district returns to distance learning, which we're all hoping does not happen, we understand that at least at the onset, that would be a temporary situation, right? We're not going to return to distance learning, and on that same day, the state says we're closing schools for the year. So at least at the onset, we would maintain our virtual learning academy, because the idea there is when that hopefully temporary distance learning situation is resolved, we're going to find ourselves right back in this same place, with some families sending their children back to what may be a hybrid reopening schedule, and some families choosing to remain as virtual learners. So we wouldn't want to kind of undo our 6th school and merge everyone back together just to have to then go back and unpack it all again. Now, if over time a decision is made that we are going to remain in distance learning as an entire district for a very extended amount of time, then those are decisions that we will take up as a district at that time as needs must. And obviously the opportunity to provide our virtual learning students, especially in grade 7, 12, expanded course opportunities in distance learning is something we would consider.
Right.
Actually, my question was kind of the opposite. If we all went back to school, where would our kids go? Would they stay with their same group and that same teacher, and there's an empty classroom waiting for them, or do you plug them all into the classrooms that are existing? Like, does their teacher go back with them, or?
Yes, their teacher would go back with them. We would create, to the greatest extent possible, at minimum, a transition time where they come back with their virtual learning academy teachers, and then possibly over time we reallocate or reshuffle students around to different classrooms. But we wouldn't say virtual learning academy is suddenly dissolved because everyone came back.
Yeah, I think the answer to your question is we're going to come up with a transition plan for that day we all look forward to when we're vaccinated.
Yeah.
and it will probably be sometime back with the virtual learning teachers who are also coming back. But then our goal, of course, is to reintegrate our virtual, as quickly as possible, our virtual learning students in with all students, because that's where we want them, right? We want everybody back. So there will be a transition plan that might have a little bit of time to kind of, segue back in, but then we would be looking to reintegrate all of our students.
And doing that in a way that meets the safety guidelines at that time, which we don't know right now. So that's the other great unknown. But it's a great question. It's one that actually just came up in a leadership team meeting today.
Okay.
Is that good, Heather? Did we answer those okay?
That's good. Thank you.
And then Heather, just to be clear, are we good on the schedules question? Those should be coming out early to mid next week.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect.
All right. This is a really important question, and I'm glad Sherry asked it. So can we unmute Sherry C?
We are unmuting her now.
Hello.
Hi, Sherry. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yes, so I was wondering about the kids that are distance learning. Will they be able to participate in sports?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a really important question. And initially, when we designed our reopening plan, we were thinking about it a little bit differently and had some time to think about it more thoughtfully. Our virtual learning students will be allowed to participate in any school activities that are virtual, but we're going to ask that our virtual learning students not participate in any in-person activities. And that's sort of a function of, well, I mean, if we're virtual learning, that we stay in that virtual format. Now, with that said, if you have any specific life circumstances that you would like us to consider, we are open to the idea of considering, case by case unique considerations. But in general, we're going to ask our virtual learning students to stay virtual.
Okay, so I would let my children play. I have one that would, I know baseball is not until the spring for the middle school, but my daughter runs cross country. I would totally be up for her participating in cross country. My kids follow strict social distancing. I do not fear for them at all. So I would not hesitate for 1 second to allow my children to participate. I wouldn't necessarily have them in an indoor sport, but I would definitely allow cross country and baseball. I think that's something where our kids are probably going to be one of the safest groups, considering that they will be home and they will not be out and about with other kids. But then again, you don't know where your students are, the in-school students are after school. So you also have parents that are teachers that open that broad spectrum of people that they're in contact with, being preschool kids or any grade level. So I feel that our students should be able to participate and should not be, I don't want to say punished, but limited to only doing activities behind their computer.
That's a fair point, Sherry. So right now, the interesting part is we still don't know if any sports are going to run, right? I'm sure if you followed news reports, you've seen of the drama between the CIC's decisions and Department of Public Health recommendations kind of running headlong into each other. We're still waiting to see if any sports are going to run at all. For right now, we're going to leave it with, if students are in the virtual learning academy, they will certainly be permitted to participate in any virtual learning activities. But you make a really good point. Let's wait and see how this pans out with if sports are running at all. And once the district makes a decision about if sports are running, why don't you then get in touch with Mr. Martin and Mr. Sarah, and we'll pardon the pun, coach you from there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so can we unmute Melissa, please?
She should be unmuting now.
Hi, Melissa, you with us?
I am.
Hi,
How are
Melissa.
you? Hi.
Good. Do you want to ask your question so everybody can kind of hear? Because
I'm kind of embarrassed, but I just have a clarifying question. I'm not understanding the computer question. Are we able to use our own Chromes, or you're saying even if we have Chromes, we still need to pick up a computer from the school system?
So our preference is that our students use our district provided devices. And the reason being, our technology team knows those devices inside and out. We have the ability to repair those devices. If you use your own device and it goes down or stops working, our technology team cannot repair that device. We don't take in repairs of non-district owned devices. And so that's why we provide to all students free of charge a district provided device, because along with that device comes our responsive tech support. In the absence of using a district provided device, should it go down, you're on your own, to be blunt.
Okay.
You know, if you did have a district issued Chromebook in your possession and your device, you know, and you chose to use your device, you would essentially have the district provided device as a backup.
I can also add to that one important thing. When our students are using our devices, we use something called Go Guardian, which enables us to filter and monitor the behaviors that are occurring on that device that wouldn't be available necessarily if you're on your own device. So it's safer for our students if they're engaging in school activities with other students and our teachers if they're using our devices.
Thank you, Dr. Britton. And that's something that, you know, that's what a tool and asset that we are offering parents, right? Parents, you can feel good about your students, you know, accessing instruction and using our devices because of those filters.
Perfect. Thank you. And I had one question almost right after that. So can I address that now? Or
Yeah,
ask
go
it
for
now?
it. Yep.
How do we handle annual doctor appointments, or let's say a dentist appointment we've had scheduled for, you know, months and months out if they're during the school hours?
So we're very fortunate in our virtual learning academy that we will have a dedicated school secretary. So it's going to be handled the same. If there's an absence, you will report or phone in that absence the same way you would if your child was going to be absent from a physical building.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Melissa. So if we can unmute Alana Brooke. Alana, boy, this is one of those questions I didn't even completely slip my mind. I'm not sure if you've thought this through, and I know our high school principal is on. Alana, do you want to ask this question?
Should be unmuting now.
Alana, are you there? Okay, she might not have heard.
All right,
So-
are you there? Are you there?
yeah, we got you. Hi, Alana.
Okay. Hi, sorry.
No worries.
No, I just know that, and it actually goes for in school too, actually, because of COVID, but they're required to have X amount of hours of community service a year. And being that they're distance learning or virtual learning, and COVID, it's going to be hard to come by. So is anything kind of decided about what to do about that?
I'll tell you what, why don't we do this? I saw Kate Lawson on here. Can we unmute Kate and see if she heard that question? Because I'm curious about that for the in-person students too.
And actually, while you're unmuting Kate, I have to say that I completely agree with Sherry about the sports, and that I think it would be a detriment to the virtual learning kids not to be able to participate if sports are allowed in sports such as baseball, cross country, tennis. I think that's an unfair advantage that you're giving the children that are actually in school.
Okay, that's a fair point, and certainly we hope it won't be an issue for baseball season, but you
Thank
never
you.
know. Hi, Kate, you with us?
I sure am. How are you?
Hi, Kate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So the community service requirement is 32 hours by graduation.
Okay.
And it does not have to be, sometimes we've had 32 hours completed in the 33 hours leading up to graduation. So the concern are the seniors. So our plan is to audit what our seniors still have to complete. And if there are students who cannot complete their community service hours, we're going to certainly not put anybody in danger to do that. Our underclassmen, hopefully, you know, we're back to normal by next September at the very latest, and we'll have plenty of time to make up those hours.
Thank
And
you
I
very
think-
much.
And I think it would be safe to say that even if we're still in a pandemic and we're making up those hours, it will be done safely. So there are lots of ways to do virtual community service hours. We're going to get creative, right, Ms. Lawson?
Absolutely. And like I said, other than our senior class, we have plenty of time.
Great.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kate. Okay, can we please unmute Chelsea?
Hi,
Hi, Chelsea. How are you?
good. So my question is, will the off days of the hybrid learning be the 8 to 2 classroom like the virtual reality, or will they be using something different?
Very, very similar. So there is no off day. It's a distance learning, not in our physical, and I know you didn't mean it that way, but
No.
yes, they will be attending a scheduled school day that runs from 8 to 2.
So it won't be like in March where they could do it on their own time.
No.
No.
Yeah, so that's a really, really important change that we're making. Last year, there was a lot more of what we were calling asynchronous learning, which involved teachers posting assignments and students working on their own independently and then posting their work back up. This year, we're creating schedules for our teachers that on the distance learning day Wednesdays in the hybrid model, and if we went back to the full distance learning model, there would be a more regimented and scheduled opportunity for in-person learning. So the kids will be expected to follow a schedule on the remote learning days.
Now, if say I have a high schooler and a elementary, are they able to do, he's old enough to watch her, are they able to do this on their own while I am at work? So if I set up my 8-year-old, would she be able to do it herself? Is it that user friendly?
Yeah, so in terms of kind of developmental appropriateness by age, you know, our teachers at those grade levels know that they have to provide our students explicit modeling and explicit directions for how to engage in the things that they're asking. So that is a difference with synchronous or live learning versus just posting something static, is that our teachers will have the opportunity to explicitly cover expectations with students and to literally show them how on video live before they send them off to do anything. And that's a distinct advantage versus what we were doing in the spring.
Because I will still be working. So I just want to make sure that she will be able to with minimal assistance. And you do feel that that will be able to be accomplished?
Yeah, I think it will, as long as she's able to turn on a computer, navigate to her Google Classroom and click on Google Meet, then the teacher will be there, right?
All right. Yeah, we'll have all that set up prior to. So yes, okay, that's it. Thank you. You answered my question.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Thank you.
Can we unmute, please, Kristen Chet?
She should be unmuting now.
Hi, Kristen, you with us?
Hi, how are you?
Good, great question. Can you ask it, just because our folks on YouTube can't see the chat? So if you can maybe ask your question for us.
Sure. Sorry if it's a little redundant. We're new to town and I didn't know what was used in March.
Oh, well, welcome. Happy to have you.
So my question is curious about what platforms, specifically elementary for us, but I guess in general, the virtual teachers will be using, examples, Seesaw, Google Classroom.
Yeah, so we are a Google district.
Okay.
G Suite is our go-to. On top of that, our elementary teacher did make use of Seesaw last year, and so that will be continuing. Again, welcome to Portland. We're very happy to have you here. For those parents who are in attendance tonight and are familiar with what programs and applications we used in the spring. One thing we've advised our teachers this year, and that we're holding the line with, is that we're not going to bombard our students and families with new programs, with a lot of things that are unfamiliar, that students haven't navigated before, that they don't have established usernames or passwords for, wouldn't know how to quickly set up a user account, given clear instructions. So we don't want a lot of new. Anything we build in that is new will be rolled in strategically, a little bit at a time, in a way that our families and students feel really good and really comfortable accessing it and using it without having to spend a ton of time orienting them on how to do that.
Kristen, can I ask you really quickly, how new are you? Were you here at any part of last year, or did you move this summer here?
We moved this summer.
Okay, so you know what I think is going to be a really good idea for you is to email Mr. Martin, because we need to get you your Chromebooks and your login and everything
Sure.
else. So once you finish your registration at the school, get in touch with Mr. Martin, and we'll make sure that we set up a time for you to come pick up the devices and have all the login credentials that you'll need to get started.
Absolutely.
We're all registered, so I'll email you after this.
Sounds good.
Terrific. Welcome. Good.
All right, and then I think we're trying to weigh the option of whether to send hybrid or do the academy. And so I had questions about class size, because I know that would matter if you're a little guy or a little girl and you're, Zooming or Google Meeting versus the 2 days in. So I'm just curious, are the class sizes big for the virtual academy?
So K-6 right now, our class sizes do not exceed 20. And in most cases, they're closer, maximum to 14, 15 students. But we don't have classes of 25 or 30 students at K-6, just like we don't have those class sizes in Portland with our in-person instruction. One of the benefits I think you'll find in Portland with in-person instruction is that we do have small class sizes, and we maintain those small class sizes in our virtual learning academy.
Okay, thank you. And then I know that with teachers doing 2 days with each cohort, and then the Wednesday would be the different type of a day, I feel like a student might benefit more from being part of the virtual academy because there would be the same structure Monday through Friday. And so would they be getting that 3 hours of live or synchronous instruction Monday through Friday in the virtual academy, but then they wouldn't be able to get that if they were in the hybrid because they would be in school for 2 days. The Wednesday would be that, different type of a day, but then the off 2 days where the other cohort would be there, the teacher wouldn't be able to do that 3 hours of live. So I'm trying to weigh I see more benefit actually with the virtual academy.
Look, that's an interesting comment. I will say that what you're describing is the cohort that's remote learning when the opposite cohort is in person. That cohort that's remote learning, our principals are designing schedules where synchronous learning will happen, right? So, you are correct that the teacher who is working in person with the 8 to 10 students who are present in the classroom isn't going to be available for that full time with the 8 to 10 students who are home. But there is still going to be a check-in, and there is still going to be opportunities for students to have live and in-person synchronous experiences when they're remote learning.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, so let's go to, so what do we have here? Lana, we got to, Kim, we got to, so Barry. Can we unmute Barry, please?
I think we're actually up by Tom Bransfield.
What's that?
We're still up further. Tom Bransfield is next.
Oh, did I skip someone? Oh, Tom Bransfield. I'm sorry. Yeah, I did. Right. So can we unmute Tom Bransfield, please?
Yeah. So I wanted to follow up on a response you gave to an earlier question, where it sounded like when the kids who start out the year in the virtual academy return, they'll all return together with the same teacher that they have in the virtual academy. An email that went out earlier said that we would have the option to send them back at any time, and preferably, at the change of marking periods. But I mean, with the situation, like, if it stays the same, some people might feel safe sending their kids back after a month or two. Some might not. So how would you handle that, if they don't all go back at the same time?
Yeah, Tom, that's a great question. So what I was describing was the day after we all get vaccinated and everybody comes back, right? If you start your child in the virtual learning academy, and then let's say we get to the end of September and COVID isn't gone, but the numbers are really low and you're feeling more comfortable and you would now like to come back to in-person learning from the virtual learning academy, you are absolutely allowed to do that. We're just asking that you give us a week's notice, right? So let's say you want, hey, I want to give it a month. I want to see how it goes. I'd like to do the virtual learning academy for the first 4 weeks of school. But then by the end of September, you're growing more comfortable. You're hearing from your neighbors and friends that things are good and the numbers are low and that they're doing a really good job of cohorting and social distancing and keeping the kids safe. And you're then comfortable to return. You're welcome back with open arms. We just need a week's notice to, create the schedule and get the room ready and lay the groundwork for you to return successfully.
Yeah, I guess my question is, in that situation, the kids will be placed in one of the classes in a different class. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then I didn't type this question out, but just
if I could just jump in there, Tom, quickly. Well, they may be placed in a different class. Let's say they move from, I'll say hypothetically, a virtual learning academy biology class to a in-person biology class. Those two curricula are aligned. So what your student would have been learning in virtual learning academy is going to mesh with what they will be learning. That's when we talk about seamless transition. It's not two separate curricula.
Okay, understood. My other question was, I guess maybe not even related to the distance learning or the virtual learning academy, but during the Board of Ed meeting, last week or the week before, you had talked about switching from hybrid to full in-person around Columbus Day, if all things are going well. How would that affect the virtual academy?
It wouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Of course, our hope is that we're starting in hybrid. We get to the last week of September and we're really comfortable with how things are going and the numbers in the Chatham Health District are where they need to be and that we're comfortable returning for in-person learning. Full in-person, meaning everybody coming back. At that point, we would communicate that out and instead of having cohorts, everybody would be back in person. You would then have the option of staying in the virtual learning academy or coming back fully.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so
now I think it's Barry.
Yeah, I think I lost my spot here. So we had Kim. Did we get Kim's?
Kim should be up next.
Okay, right. So we need to unmute Kim Marushak.
Hi. Yes.
Hi,
thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. I'm really impressed with the plan you have so far. My one disagreement is about the sports or the activities. And as of today, when I looked on your website, in your question and answer section, it still says all distance learning students are members of our school community and will be encouraged to participate in all activities that the school runs this year. So the fact that now we're talking about sports, and for us as a family, making the decision to keep our children home has not been an easy one. They are definitely feeling isolated. And we thought, well, at least cross country is a socially distant sport that they could participate in some format. So having that little bit of hope in their day has really been a highlight for them. So now to get this blow that's being considered off the table is really something that's worrisome and bothersome to me.
Look, I appreciate the feedback. The interesting thing right now is we don't know what sports is going to run even as of this point, right? Let's do this. We want to support all families in town. We want to make sure that we're being fair, that we're being equitable, that we're providing opportunities for all students. If we get to the point where sports runs in the fall, why don't you make it a point, please, with any of the parents who are on, to get in touch at that point with Mr. Martin and Mr. Sarah, our athletic director, and let's try to be reasonable and figure out what it's going to look like. I don't necessarily know if I want to, spend a lot of time, talking about it now, only because, if your child's a football player, I would be shocked if they're playing football this fall, but even that hasn't been determined yet. Per the Department of Public Health guidelines, they're saying that we wouldn't even be able to start athletics until 2 weeks into the school year anyway. And that's even if they're going to run at all. So let's cross that bridge when we know for sure what athletics is going to look like in the fall.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so Alana, got your point too. You're a pro, let students play sports. Kim, you too. Let's unmute. Did we do Barry already?
No.
Okay, let's unmute Barry.
Barry should be unmuting now.
Hello, Barry.
Hi, how are you?
Well, how are you?
I'm good. My question is, my son William, he's going into 6th grade at Brownstone, and I was wondering, will the virtual academy have their own teachers, or will he have a Brownstone teacher?
He will have a Brownstone teacher. So we have, just as we have with our families and students, we have Portland Public Schools staff who have elected to, for a variety of reasons, not return in person for the fall. And we also have a number of Portland Public Schools staff who we've been able to assign, in agreement with them, to the Virtual Learning Academy, because we have that many fewer students returning to us in person in the fall. So for example, while we may have needed, I'll say hypothetically, 4 grade 6 sections to appropriately schedule all of our grade 6 students, we may now only need 3 grade 6 sections for our in-person students, and therefore we have an extra grade 6 teacher that we're assigning to the Virtual Learning Academy. So to answer your question in short, yes, absolutely, he will have a Brownstone teacher as his Virtual Learning Academy teacher.
Okay, my son will be very happy about that.
and furthermore, Barry, he will have a Brownstone teacher that has current experience teaching 6th grade students, not someone that's coming from a different grade level or an unfamiliar content area.
Okay. I also had another question. When you do go to full sessions at school, as far as like music and band and all, how would you handle all that? As far as the classes, would they even have that when they go back to school, or?
The short answer to that is yes. We have received an awful lot of guidance very recently from it's called the Connecticut Music Education Association and the State Department of Education, that has outlined in very specific terms how you can do music safely. There's lots of requirements for it. You have to distance much more effectively. You need things called bell covers, and we're learning about masks that are kind of cone shaped like a beak so that you can sing in them. But we are going to offer different, but it's going to be different, but we are going to offer chorus and music and band for sure. It's just going to be a little bit awkward, but they're still going to receive fine and performing arts courses without question.
Yeah, I thank you guys for everything you're doing. This was a tough decision to keep him home right now, but I just want to see how things go and, take it from there. But I thank you guys for everything you're doing.
Yeah, and we get it, Barry. I mean, without question, I'm a parent, Eric's parent. My wife and I agonized over our decision to send our children back to, frankly, if we had the option, I'm not sure if we wouldn't be keeping them home, but, we both work full time and feel like we're ready to get our students back. But if and when you are comfortable, we will be ready with a week's notice to welcome William back.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, can we unmute Jillian, please?
Jillian should be unmuted.
Hello, Jillian.
Hello.
Jillian, can you ask your questions so our YouTube followers can hear?
I clarify. We were told that we were going to get from the Valley View principal that we were going to get new touchscreen Chrome devices for everyone. Is that true?
So thank you for that question, Jillian. I actually just met with my tech team this morning and have been in regular communication with them. Through no fault of our own, those devices were ordered at the onset of the new budget year, which was July 1st. We are back ordered, or those devices are back ordered until October.
Okay.
If you've been looking in the news, the Chromebook market is absolutely decimated right now. So we're on a list.
Okay.
We've paid for those devices, so we want them as soon as possible, and we'll get them into our hands, into the hands of our students and families as absolutely soon as possible.
Absolutely understood. I don't know if that's something that can be, you were talking about the pickup and whatever. And again, I think as a parent, I was like, what are we going to do or whatnot, but maybe just make that clear or clearer, when able.
I will. Thank you for that suggestion. Yes. And when they do come in, we will absolutely organize, should we still be in a virtual learning or distance learning situation, the necessary pickup drive to get those in the hands of our families and students.
Fantastic. And just to mirror what a lot of other people have already said, I think you guys have really taken a lemon and made some good lemonade with it. You're doing the best you can. And I know that the Portland parents appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right. So can we please unmute Melissa?
Melissa should be unmuting now.
Yes.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi. I also mirror what Jillian said about the great job you're doing. My question is, how will elementary school kids in the distance learning program handle their homework? Will they have any? Will be able to fit into the school day?
Understand that the virtual learning day for our students is a long one with a lot of screen time. Rest assured that any quote unquote homework or assignments that are given to your student outside of their virtual learning school day will not be screen-based assignments. They may be enrichment activities, reading, any type of print materials we're able to provide, but we will absolutely limit the amount of screen time to only what is absolutely necessary outside of the virtual learning school day. And as goes with homework, we believe obviously at the elementary model and not bogging kids down with homework. We want them to get outside, to be recreational, to stretch their bodies and their brains. And so if there is homework, it will be absolutely minimal and only what's essential to continue students' learning
Thank you.
success within the school day. Just the next, Alicia Millard, our wonderful library media specialist at the middle and high school, just clarified that, Kristen, to your question earlier, grades pre-K, kindergarten, grades 1 and 2 teachers use Seesaw, and grades 3 through 12 use Google Classroom. Seesaw is just a little bit more friendly application for our youngest learners.
All righty. So can we unmute Nate and Emily?
Hello.
Hi, is this Nate or Emily?
This is Emily.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. Can you ask your question so our YouTube followers can hear?
Yep. I'm going to tweak the question a little bit. So my son has decided to stay home, but he's having a change of heart. So if he decided that before school started, he wanted to come, how quickly should he make that decision?
Okay, so I'm sorry. So your son has decided to start in hybrid and wants to go to. I'm sorry. Ask the question
That's
one more
okay.
time.
He's decided to stay home and distance learn right now.
Okay.
But after listening to all the questions and knowing about the sports and that kind of thing, because he also does the cross country, if he decides before school starts that he wants to actually do the hybrid, when should we tell you?
As quickly as possible.
Okay.
What this, the building principals are working on the schedules now.
Okay.
You know, school starts September 1st. Certainly, if you can make that decision, I'll say by Wednesday next week, that would be helpful.
Okay, I told him Friday because I was like, hurry up.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Once the school year begins, does
Yeah.
it take a week?
And then you can just let him know this too. We are prepared for, and we're not encouraging it. And I'm even a little bit wary about putting this out there, but it is possible that some of our students may start in the hybrid, but then not be comfortable and want to go to the distance learning program.
That was part of the question too. I should have asked.
Yes, we are not going to encourage that, but
Right.
if that happens and your family is not comfortable with what's happening in the hybrid, we will accommodate that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course, you're welcome. Okay, I forgot where we are.
This is Chelsea.
Chelsea. Okay, can we unmute Chelsea?
Should be unmuting now.
Hi, I'm just wondering, is tomorrow's night's meeting the same agenda as tonight?
Yes.
So we don't need to attend it tomorrow?
No.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy your night.
You too.
I think we're down
To Sarah? Well,
no question there.
yeah, we'll take the compliment. Thank you, Sarah. And Linda, I think that's a great suggestion. We'll take that one too. And we're back to Kim. So I'm sorry, I may have missed it. Students participate in virtual band class. Oh, can we unmute Kim?
Hold on. Yes, sorry to bother you. I don't know
Nope.
if you addressed it. What about students who play an instrument and they're doing the virtual academy?
So virtual band is proving a difficult undertaking or enterprise to try to make work. We are going to offer at K6 our students a music special, but that may be more in line of music appreciation or elementary music theory. And we're looking at likely similar programming at the secondary level.
Okay, and are you having in-person, you're doing band and chorus?
Our plan is to offer in-person band and chorus according to the guidelines that Dr. Britton described earlier.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, that looks like it's all of our questions. Did we have any questions over YouTube?
We're going to pull those up
Yep,
in a
here we
moment.
go.
Right, so from YouTube, we have one. For students starting on September 1st, will they just log into Google Classroom? Or how will this work?
Dylan, we had a hard time hearing you with that. Can we turn the volume up on the? There you go. Yep. A little feedback, but it's okay.
Let me just open the door. For students starting on November 1st, do they just log on to Google Classroom? They're not really sure what to do.
September 1st, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the question is for students starting on September 1st, do they log into Google Classroom? They're not sure what to do with that. So I'm going to take this one of two ways. So for our hybrid in-person students starting on September 1st, they will get specific instructions from their classroom or course teachers. For our students starting in our Portland Virtual Learning Academy on September 1st. That information will be provided in the welcome letters that we send out next week, and also in the teacher introductions that our teachers make to our families and students next week. So stay tuned. All of those first day of school instructions will be coming. And that first day of school is also going to feature for students a welcome from the principal, who's me. So we'll send out those instructions shortly. Great question.
Thanks, Dylan or Corey. Do we have any other YouTube questions? No more. Okay. One more in the chat. Okay. Oh, okay. Can we unmute Elizabeth? Elizabeth Kathleen Leone. Or is she on YouTube?
Nope, I'm right here.
Oh, hi, Elizabeth.
How
You
are
want to
ya?
just ask your questions so our YouTube followers can hear?
Sure. So I have my 8th grade daughter here sitting next to me. She plays the trombone in band, and she was able to tackle in the spring doing the band with her trombone at home. So is it my understanding in the virtual learning that she will not be playing her trombone or having a band?
It is proving difficult, although we're looking.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
so,
agree.
I think we have two things going for us. We have Alicia Millard, who is a former music teacher, who's going to be working closely with Mr. Martin, and we have a very talented group of music teachers who are going to try to get as creative as possible to support our performing arts students. Certainly, running a performance arts class virtually is something that we're trying to figure out, no doubt. I can't promise you anything now, but certainly if your daughter loves playing her instrument and wants to be afforded that opportunity, thank you for that feedback, and let us keep trying. We will work this problem and see what we can do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question.
We're good? All right, that was all of our questions. Look, I really want to thank everybody for taking some time out of a summer evening. You still have a few more left here, so go enjoy them. You won't need to come tomorrow night. We're going to largely rehash the same information, but if you have any questions that come to mind at any time before September 1st, please email Mr. Martin. He'll get back to you. And stay tuned for emails or further information with your class schedules and your teacher assignments, which are going to be coming out next week sometime?
Yep, early to mid next week, everyone. I'll just echo Dr. Britton. Thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for your questions, which push our thinking and lead us to be as detail specific and detail oriented as we can be. Again, as I said at the onset, tonight was a lot of district level information or 10,000 foot view of our Portland Virtual Learning Academy. I promise you will get much more specific information regarding your child or your children's specific virtual learning academy experience and what to expect beginning on that very first day of school. So thank you again, everyone. And email, please, as Dr. Britton said, email me any questions or concerns. I'm happy to field them and respond to them.
Have a nice night, everyone. Thank you for your time. Good job.